The four of us are here to prevent the apocalypse. Your family has been chosen to make a horrible decision. If you fail to choose, the world will end.
Knock at the Cabin is the newest film by M. Night Shyamalan. The film centers on a family on vacation who are staying in a cabin in the woods. The family consists of 7-year-old Wynn and her 2 fathers, Andrew and Eric. While staying in the cabin, the family is approached by 4 mysterious strangers. Leonard, played by Dave Bautista, Redmond, played by Rupert Grint, and 2 women, Sabrina and Adrian. I don't know the actresses' names that play Sabrina and Adrian. The 4 strangers tie up the couple and explain that they are not there to hurt them, but that the apocalypse is upon them, and the only way to stop it is for the family to sacrifice one of their own. If the family chooses not to, everyone on Earth will perish except the 3 of them. With time running out, Andrew and Eric must figure out what the truth is before it's too late. So M. Night Shyamalan is a very hit-or-miss director. His close-up shots and at times stilted dialogue are common criticisms. His films are generally more character-driven and slow-paced, which can sometimes work in his favor and then sometimes can work against him. Anytime M. Night tries to go big or epic, like The Last Airbender, Glass, or The Happening even, he fails miserably. He excels more at these confined, character-driven, slow-paced, indie-like films. So his directing for this film works actually pretty well. This film is very intimate. It's a little slow-paced, but it's very character-driven. If you're going into it expecting just like some nail-biting thriller, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed. One thing M. Night, I think, does well, even in some of his bad films, Last Airbender excluded, is writing very human characters. Like I said, even in some of his bad films, I think he has a knack for writing very human, relatable characters. And this film is no exception. I love the fact that even though I myself am not a gay man, I can still very much relate with the 2 main protagonists in this film because they are both very much human and were written with a lot of care. And this is in stark contrast to what a lot of films have been doing lately. But M. Night, you can tell that he was just trying to write 2 human characters that most everybody would be able to relate with. And you can tell that he took the time and actually cared to make these characters real people. And the film benefits for that. The character Andrew, I like that he's very jaded by society. He's very bitter and sensitive to the fact that some people in society don't accept him for who he is. We see a flashback where we see him trying to introduce his parents to Eric, and it doesn't go over great. It's not like his parents aren't like really mean. It's not really cringy. I guess it is kind of cringy. It's just awkward because you could tell his parents are just uncomfortable with it. And it really hurts Andrew quite a bit. And you can tell, instead of being like sad, you can tell he just gets angry about it. And that's kind of his personality. Instead of maybe getting sad, like maybe he should get sad, or maybe he should just be like, you know what? They don't accept me. Oh well. And just move on. But instead you can tell it deeply bothers him, and it kind of makes him who he is. Because he's had some incidences where people have targeted him for who he is, and it's made him a bit overly sensitive to any perceived prejudice towards him, which makes him a little bit of a hothead sometimes. And this is in contrast to Eric, who, on the other hand, is a lot more confident in who he is and also has a much more gracious and mature view of humanity. He knows there are bad people, but also knows there are a lot of people out there that are good, and that it's not so black and white. There's flawed people, there's scared people, and he doesn't need their confirmation. And these differences between the 2 creates a very interesting dynamic between the 2 of them that actually leads to a very beautiful ending. That, not gonna lie, almost made me shed a tear. Okay, I didn't, but I was like, all right, this is kind of got me. I also just want to highlight Dave Bautista. I mean, I know him as Drax, and that's pretty much it. And I've never really thought of him as being like, oh, he's a great actor. But he actually really shines in this film, and I was really surprised by him. He really showed that he had a lot more range than I had previously thought, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Someone I was actually a little bit disappointed with was who I was actually the most excited to see, which was Rupert Grint, because, I mean, he's Ron. So I saw him in the TV series that M. Night Shyamalan actually also had a hand in. But Rupert Grint was actually in that series called Servant. And I actually thought that Rupert did a really good job. It was weird to see him in that role because he was very different than Ron. But still, I was like, okay, yeah, he's actually a pretty good actor. But in this film, I don't know if it was the dialogue, which is a possibility because it is M. Night and he's notorious for sometimes writing some bad dialogue. Or maybe it's just the character he was playing. Maybe he just can't play the character he was playing in this film. I don't know. It just didn't come off the best. Spoiler alert, he's not in it for long, so it didn't really make that big of a difference. So what I'm taking from that is Dave Bautista actually is a really good actor. So there you go. I probably honestly would never watch this movie again. Yes, it was good, but it wasn't great. It was way better than the movie Old, which was his last movie he did, which was just the worst movie I think I've ever seen. But this movie, I'm glad I saw it, and I think it's definitely worth the watch. Out of his films, going from Last Airbenders to Best, I'd probably put this film somewhere in the middle. There were elements in it that I really enjoyed. Like I said, like I do like the way the characters were written. There was a part in the middle that I got just a little bit bored because I kind of figured out what was going on and it just seemed like a means to an end. At one point I was like, okay, we're just going to be going through these motions. I'd probably place this film before The Visit, but probably behind The Village, even though I think The Village is I think it's a very disappointing film. I was able to watch that movie multiple times, which I wasn't able to do with The Visit, and I honestly probably really wouldn't want to watch The Visit again. Probably won't watch this movie again, but I would be more inclined to watch this one again than watch The Visit again. And that's not to say I didn't like The Visit. I think The Visit was okay. There were a couple scenes that I found kind of dumb. There is a scene where they're being held hostage. Andrew's able to get a gun, and they put Leonard, Dave Bautista's character, because he's really honestly the only threatening character, because we have Sabrina, she's just a regular thin woman, and then we have Adrian, and she probably maybe weighs 100 pounds, would only be intimidating to a small fruit fly. And so Dave Bautista is pretty much the only intimidating one there. And I mean, I guess Rupert is too, but he gets taken out pretty quickly. Anyways, so we have Andrew and Eric, and they tell Leonard to get into the bathroom. And they close the door and lock it. And then they hear a window break. And Andrew goes, oh, he broke the window. And he like went out the window. And I was thinking, okay. And they open the door to see if Leonard, Dave Bautista's character, has escaped. And he sees a broken window. So the broken window, it would be hard for me to get out this window. Nevertheless, you grown normal-sized men, especially in the time it took for you to have heard the sound of the glass breaking to when you opened the door, you think that this monster of a man crawled out that window? Just make smarter decisions, because then he opens the bathroom door. Andrew's looking, he's like, did he go through the window? And it's like, no, he didn't go through the window, you freaking genius, because he's the size of a rhino. All right. No, I actually do have one more thing. It'll probably get me in trouble, but there is another scene, which might be a good argument for why you should be able to keep bullets in a magazine. At least have the bullets in the magazine so that when you open up your little lockbox with your gun, you just have to put the magazine in the gun. Because he's like trying to grab the gun quickly. First, he has to open this like lockbox thing. Then he has to take the bullets and put them in the magazine and then put them in the gun. If it was not for the fact that these people aren't actually trying to kill him and want him alive, he would have been dead. When all is said and done, I think this movie is pretty good. I think it's worth a watch. I think it's still kind of interesting. I think it could have made it a little more ambiguous about what the actual truth is, whether these people are crazy or if they're telling the truth. And I guess the book leaves the ending way more ambiguous. From what I heard of the book, I like this adaptation a lot better. The book sounds very depressing. But that's all I got today, you guys. I want to know, though, what are your favorite M. Night Shyamalan films? Do you like any of his films? Do you like M. Night? Do you hate his films? Do any of you guys like The Last Airbender? And if you do, there's something wrong with you. Thank you so much for watching my review of Knock on the Cabin. Please remember, if you would like to support me, to like, comment, and subscribe, and share. If you would like to see more content from me, keep watching movies, guys, and keep being happy. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Most everyone's mad here.